Okay, today I'm going to troubleshoot the EGR code. Basically everything is brand spanking new because it's dirty up under here. So that's what it looks like with the cooler out. I got some gnarly bruising from crawling all over. All right, so I just installed the DEF injector here, and it's hard to see, but I installed the pressure sensor, DEF pressure sensor there, and then hooked up all of the different sensors. So now I'm gonna pour DEF fluid in and flash the computer back to stock and see if it'll start. All right, before I flash it, I'm gonna plug the EGR and vacuum back in so that it is returned to stock. And now all of the sensors are back on so I can flash it. All right, so now I'm gonna hook up the EZ-Link here, and I'm gonna put it to the OBD sensor like that, and it should be on my phone now. I'm back at the property today, and we clearly got some wind. It flipped the EZ upside down, and looks like the seasons are changing. We just had 110-degree weather, and now there was rain on the way here, so definitely changing of the guard with the weather now. Okay, today what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna install this charge controller data logger and the Wi-Fi module for the charge controller. I already have it set up and running on the server right here for the battery to monitor it. So yeah, now on the charging side, I'm gonna set that up, and yeah, then I'll probably go back and work on the truck and maybe the Lexus. Okay, I need to get inside to that thing. I need to take that cover off and pull out this wire here, because that just went to USB, and it's going to go now to this Wi-Fi module, and the second serial port is going to go to this data logger. And yeah, then I should be able to do everything Wi-Fi instead of having to plug in to this USB port here. I'll be able to manage it through wireless with this guy. So that's in a nutshell what I'm doing. All right, so I installed the Wi-Fi here, and I just put the data logger here. So I still need to do the cable management on the whole box and the whole unit, but you can see that they're in there. So just getting everything functional, and at some point I'll make all of this wiring clean, but right now just adding all the functionality. So now we have Wi-Fi from the charge controller, data logging from the charge controller, and Wi-Fi and data logging from the battery management system over here. All right, so I was able to connect with the data logger and export the CSV. So looks like that's working. All right, I'm gonna pack this guy up. I think we're done with heat waves. The weather's changed. So I'm transitioning for all this to be wet and muddy and get ready for the next season. Okay, today I'm going to troubleshoot the EGR code. So what I've done so far is I took the straight pipe off and I put a whole new DPF, new NOx sensors, new EGTs, new def injector, new DPF pressure sensor. Basically everything is brand spanking new. Then I flashed the ECU, or the power control unit, the PCU, back to stock. And in doing so, I plugged back in the vacuum pump here and the EGR valve here. Basically everything on the exhaust side appears to be working, but now because I've plugged these back in, I have an EGR valve issue. And this is pretty typical when you go from a tune DPF delete to back to stock. So what I'm doing today is I know the code. I've already pulled the code. And in doing so, I have the maintenance manual that I purchased a year license for. And I have the troubleshooting manual for this particular code. It looks at wiring, open circuits, shorts to ground, shorts to voltage, whatnot, and then it measures the resistance through the EGR valve, and it forward biases a diode to check the EGR and gives you like the parameters that I need to scan while I kind of mess with the wiring to see if they're broken. The real-time monitoring of all the parameters is done with the same scanner. Not a cheap tool, but this is, having someone else do this is way more expensive. And out of the maintenance manual, I got the PID, parameter identification, so I can cross-reference what I see in the troubleshooting manual to what I'm putting into this scanner. And then for the raw electrical checks, I need a digital multimeter for voltage, resistance, and a forward bias diode for the 3 functions, and gloves because it's dirty up under here. So in a nutshell, that's what I'll be doing to troubleshoot this and isolate it. Alright, so what I did was I linked into the OBD and got the live settings that I wanted. These are the values here and here. The recirc valve position is the one I'm doing first, and basically it wants to make sure that it's between 0.49 and 125 as I mess around with the harness, and it is between 0.49 and 125, so it's basically dead center. So I'm going to go mess around with the harness right now and see if that value changes. All right, so I put the scanner tool up here so that I can monitor it while I mess with that wiring. So this is what I just confirmed. I measured pin 1 to 5 on the EGR valve itself, and I found an open circuit, so it was not between 1 and 900 ohms. And since that's a no, it says I need to install the EGR valve, which is what I suspected. So yeah, that's it. This is open circuit, so it's not working. That's basically how I did it. This is the pin, so it's the bottom pins on the edges, or on the corners, and I did it on this side and confirmed. So For sure the EGR valve is bad. I don't know what else is bad, but for sure that's bad. Okay, today I am going to work on my truck. I pull it over here. But what I'm gonna do is I'm going to replace the EGR valve. And while I'm there, I think I'm gonna do the cooler, EGR cooler, and then I'm gonna do the fuel filter as well. So doing the fuel filter for maintenance, and I'm doing the EGR system for the cooler for preventative maintenance, and the EGR because it needs to be replaced. So that's what I'm gonna work on. All right, so I got the EGR valve out. I had to take the whole air box out, and the EGR valve and the little bypass to get to the cooler. And it doesn't look too bad. There's some carbon there, but it's not super plugged up like I thought it might be. But I got a brand new cooler here, so I think I'm gonna do it. And then I got the new EGR there. This is all the stuff I had to take off. The air box, the tube down to the manifold, tube to the intake, the EGR valve that is broken, and that little bypass vacuum. So I'll have to clean all this stuff up. Next step is to get this guy out. Okay, so that's what it looks like with the cooler out. I taped off and ragged up everything. So basically, that's all the hardware. That's the new cooler, new EGR. And I'm gonna clean these guys out, clean all the carbon out of here and rebuild him because I can get to the O-rings in the back here. Okay, I got a whole bunch of simple green here and I'm gonna put it in this bucket and I'm gonna soak this EGR cooler housing and the bypass to try to get some of the nasty blackness out of there, and also this cap right here. Yeah, I'll soak it overnight. I just finished the installation and I got some gnarly bruising from crawling all over. I don't know if you can see it in the dark, but yeah, crawling all over the engine. It was pretty rough. All right, I buttoned everything back up, got the air box in, got all the coolant hoses run, the vacuum line and the EGR vacuum pump and the CGT and the water temp sensor, and all three for the ECU. So now what I gotta do is do a vacuum coolant flush. So I got two systems I gotta run. I gotta do the secondary system and the primary system separate. So that's the next step. All right, today I came up to the property trying to drive my truck because I need the ECU to learn some stuff and be ready for emissions. So I'm giving myself reasons to sort of drive up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and unload my old straight pipe and the cat or DPF that wouldn't work. Store it here for now, that's what I'm selling.
Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
And join us on Patreon. All right, the good news is we are almost finished with the complete setup. The bad news is the floor is literally put in backwards.